the limitless potential we hold as a united and determined people. Together, we shall continue to strive for a prosperous and equitable Nigeria of our dream.
At the square, the eagles soar higher, lifted by the faces of resilience, demands the dignity of Nigerian worker and the reassurance of government. From the Eagle Square, Abuja, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Workers have been sharing their views on the Workers' Day, reiterating the imperative for constant engagement between labor and the government in order to address emerging socio-economic situations affecting the worker. Joseph Osen reports.
In colorful uniforms, affiliates of various labor movements in Nigeria converge on Eagle Square. It's May 1st dedicated to celebrate the resilience of the nation's productive force and drivers of economic progression. This year's theme is reclaiming the civic space in the midst of economic hardship, with workers demanding policies that will not just take them to work, but address other social needs.
The money they are giving us cannot take us home.
Issue of harassment. Press freedom is non-negotiable. It is not a privilege, it is a right.
We wish that government will look into, especially on blue economy, and give liberal policy that will enable international transaction, whereby the space for economic reality of Nigeria should be expanded.
Utilizing the subsidy removal fund to ease transportation, affordable health care, tackling inflation and supporting businesses with grants to grow, to the workers will provide soft landing for many.
When there was autonomy, the local government were doing better in provision of services, social repair services, construction of road, maintenance of road, drainages, and so many functions of the local government council. But now, local government are almost rendered useless.
And the idea is to create that alternative transportation system that is different from petrol.
Let us adjust ourselves. Let us bring it to think outside the box. We'll look at our earnings. So how do we be comfortable? How do we, support ourselves with that, minimum or the meager salary we are collecting from the government?
Social security is now the trust of the Nigerian worker, but that security to many here will only come where there is a collaboration between government and the workers themselves in implementing policies that affect their lives. In Abuja, Joseph Otsen, NTA News.
Thank you, Joseph. And I'm sure the NLC, the TUC, and other affiliate unions are vested in concrete, actionable steps that will not only ensure that fair wages are not just aspirational, but legally enforceable. Of course, as well as the general welfare of workers in Nigeria. Now let's hear from some workers here in our studio, with Ruth Agwele moderating the conversation. Ruth, it's a day to be excited, isn't it?
Yes, it is our day, Jummai. Thank you for having us here, talking about the panel session. And yes, we have great minds already seated here in the studio, representatives of different unions. But I'd like to, first get their opinion. Our survey question for today has to do with the Workers' Day. So by the way, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Network News. So let's hear your response to our survey. And the question is, which of the following deserves urgent prioritization in order to drastically improve the welfare and productivity of Nigerian workers? Now, the first option, living wage reform, that's the adjusted minimum wage, and timely salary payments nationwide. I'm already reading the minds of some here. Skills, training, and tech empowerment, that's the second option. And then healthcare and social safety nets, that's the third option. So just pass the mic, respond, tell us your answer, your response. Do you go for the first option, the second?
I go for second, skills.
Skill
training.
Fantastic. Let's hear from you.
Is it possible I go for the three?
No, you have to pick one.
Okay, I'll go for the first.
First option. Yeah. Okay. Prof.
Go for the first.
First, yes, the living wage. Okay.
First option.
First option.
I'll go for the second.
Second option, skills.
Of course, first option.
Living wage. Okay.
Definitely, the first option.
The first option.
The first option, living wage.
Living wage, fantastic. So I'm handing the mic back to you. So it's good that you're all responding to the first option, because my question now has to do with the, the advocacy for this minimum wage and all of that. But beyond that, how can unions, create that balance in the advocacy when we're talking fair wages and we're seeing the scarce resources that the federal government is talking about? Would you prefer that the federal government put the survival of the workers first over austerity measures? What's your response?
Well, it is important to note first that Nigeria has the resources. So it is not, it is out of place for us to believe that Nigeria does not have enough resources. So we do have enough resources. We need to look inward and stop wastages. We need to block the holes and prioritize on channeling the resources to survival of all workers in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Engineer John Obajimi. He's the National President, Industrial Safety Council of Nigeria. Let's hear from Professor Theophilus Indubuaku. He's the Acting Chairman, NLC Political Commission. Of course, there's this advocacy and championing of leaving no one behind. But we have the informal sector that have been, marginalized. How is the union going to extend that social security that we're talking about to this marginalized group, especially those in the private sector?
Yeah, we have, organized labor is always, we always have them in mind, those people who are not in, we are talking about. And so when we negotiate minimum wage, for instance, it's not restricted to people who are, who are part of the organized labor. Those in private sector, everybody, we don't, there's no exclusivity to the whole thing. So I think that we are carried along, even when you talk about the armed forces, and everybody, they are not unionized, but once we, have an agreement with government, the thing trickles down to everyone in the system. So I think that they usually will always have them in mind.
Okay, great. Honorable Comrade Uche Ekwe, he's the head of International Relations, Nigeria Labour Congress. For you, the theme, I find very interesting this year, reclaiming the civil space in the midst of economic hardship. Now, what strategic measures is the union, talking about NLC, going to use to help carry everyone along, especially by identifying and addressing those systematic issues, that have been termed systematic?
Well, if you have listened to when Prof answered, first, it covers the entire question to get what we do, because I think that's where people miss it. One of the major contentious issues during the last minimum wage negotiation was the area of amendment of the law to expand the coverage of those who are entitled to minimum wage, which is to increase those who should pay minimum wage. First, it used to be 50 people who employ 50 people. We advocated that it should be zero-sum because everybody goes to the same market. So you see, the focus is about everybody. In that advocacy, you are getting around to cover everybody. Second part, and I guess you can now realize why we answered number one. Because if you have the right wage, when people, bearing in mind that wage earners are the people who get what you call expendable income, and that is why, if you go to states, once wages are paid, the market women and everybody realizes that wage has been paid. If you go across construction working places, you see women selling there. Go there towards the end of every month. And that was why, if you check, when America went down, the melt down, the Obama administration took up increasing wage as a way of reflating the economy.
Okay. Honorable Comrade, I know you have a lot to say. It is your day, but we'd like to hear, comments from other persons. Let's hear from Comrade Gabi Ralph, the regional rep, Coalition of Black Trade Unionists. So we're talking social security, protection of the rights of workers and all of that. Looking at the theme, going forward, and having the synergy with the federal government, creating that balance. What's your opinion?
Okay, first of all, I want to appreciate the opportunity given to the labor movement to be here tonight. And I will say that flowing with the theme of this year's Workers' Day, which is about civic spaces and democracy. The primary condition to advance and protect the civic space is the right to organize, the right which has been guaranteed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. When we organize, it gives the opportunity for the foundation for democracy and the ability for workers to come together to express their issues as borders on issues around social security, on wages, is hinged on the primary focus of advancing and protecting the civic space. So in terms of arriving at a synergy between the trade union movement and the federal government boils down to respecting the fundamental principles of engagement and negotiations, which has to do with respecting the rights of trade unions in the civic space, yes, by not intimidating, by living up to the agreements that have been reached, by ensuring that all agreements reached are respected and implemented as a when due.
Okay.
A situation whereby we have an agreement on minimum wage for over a year and it's not implemented in certain quarters, it is totally unacceptable.
Okay.
So reaching an agreement, a synergy would entail respecting the principles of collective bargaining and agreement.
Thank you very much, comrade. Just pass the mic to the lady here, talking about the chairman, NUJ, FCT, Ms. Grace Ike. Sorry, we have to go back before bringing it back to you. So, press freedom, I saw you talking, during the Workers' Day celebration there at Eagle Square, but press freedom is something that has been an issue over time. And while we're talking, carrying everybody along and promoting inclusivity, leaving no voice marginalized because it has to do with the press, what's your opinion?
Well, for me, it's, like I earlier said, it's not negotiable. It is not a privilege, it is a right. And the earlier we begin to understand this, the better for us. So I'm also happy that there's a lot of awareness ongoing and we need to add our voices. We need to amplify our voices ahead of it. On 3rd of May is World Press Freedom Day, and there's a program to that regard from the National Secretariat. But the ideal thing is to let everybody know that journalists are frontline workers in the quest for truth, justice and national development, and we will continue to do all we can to see that we report objectively, make sure it is balanced and accurately. And while doing this, we come across a lot of challenges, and that is why we are saying press freedom is non-negotiable. It is a right and not a privilege.
Thank you very much, Ms. Grace Ike. And I want to appreciate all my panelists. Because of time, we can continue with the questions. But of course, the federal government has given assurances of, welfare, social justice, and of course, good living conditions. So they see the productivity from the workforce. Jumai.
So this is a special day, and it's an opportunity for us to voice, our grievances to the government, and they will look into it, and I believe things will get better for the Nigerian worker. We'll take a break right now. When we return, more reports on May Day and other issues. You're welcome back. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will depart Abuja for Katsina State on Friday for a 2-day official visit. During the visit, the president will meet with key stakeholders to assess the security situation in the state. Suleiman Kadoji reports.
Since 1999, this is the best government we have seen.
Now that the president is coming to Katsina State, we are hoping that some of the problems we have in Katsina will be taken into consideration.
Malam Dukorada, the governor of Katsina, he has done everything for us. If you look at Katsina for now, you see many things that we achieve.
The presidential visit will feature the inauguration of Katsina Eastern Bypass, a significant project which spans from Dutse Road through Kanu and Daura roads and hence at Yandaki in Keta local government area of the state. The project is expected to decongest the city, reduce travel time and boost socio-economic activities in the state. The president is also expected to inaugurate the State Agricultural Mechanization Center, aimed at repositioning the agricultural sector of Katsina State. The Mr. President visit will mark his first official engagement to Katsina State since he assumed office in 2023. Suleiman Kodogi, NTA News.
And while governors of the northeastern states have resolved to open up the sub-region to investment opportunities in agriculture and industrialization to provide employment to the region's teeming youth who are vulnerable to recruitment into the army of the insurgents. Now, this was part of a 9-point communique issued by the governors at the end of their 11th meeting in Damaturu, Yobe State. Yunusa Suleiman tells us more.
The communique, read by the Taraba State Governor, was the product of extensive deliberations by the governors and other key stakeholders in finding practical solutions to the social, security and economic challenges facing the sub-region.
The forum commends the federal government of Nigeria in its effort at improving the security of the country and resolve to collaborate and support it all matters to address emerging security issues in the country.
The forum also resolved to work closely with the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children Education by providing office space in each state, supporting the enrollment of Almajiri and out-of-school children in formal schools, and developing a unified approach to address the issue in the sub-region.
Forum notes that the poor road networks in the sub-region is contributing to the insecurity in the region. It calls on Mr. President to, as a matter of urgent concern, address the issue of abandoned projects, which is critical to addressing poverty, insecurity, and general underdevelopment of the sub-region.
The next meeting of the forum is scheduled for July 27th to 29th, 2025 in Jalingo, Taraba State. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Nigeria is grooming the next generation of innovators that will build digital technology solutions to solve not just the challenges of the immediate environment, but that of the globe and become tech entrepreneurs rather than job seekers. Now, in this regard, the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy engaged these young minds from all secondary schools across the country. And they did not disappoint as they created groundbreaking tech solutions to contend at the National Girls in ICT competition held here in Abuja. Chidima Ndubisi tells us more.
Nigeria is securing its digital technology future since about 70% of the population are under 30 years. A notable percentage, girls. Efforts are being made to have them develop interest in digital technology and innovation in a field often regarded as just for the male folk. So, the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy created an opportunity for young girls in secondary schools nationwide to come up with digital solutions on health and environment.
Our innovative solution is a device that tracks health signs like temperature, oxygen levels, and heart rate for people in rural communities.
The innovation earned the girls from Trinity Secondary School in Anambra State first position. Our cyber trash for environmental sanitation got the federal government college girls from Taraba State the second position, and a smart waste bin to contain spread of Lassa fever by Government Science and Technical College, Edo State, third position.
The biggest asset that we have in this country are the young people. But for us to truly empower them so that they are ready to participate in the global economy, which is extremely digital, we must attempt to catch them young.
Code clubs are to be established in secondary schools nationwide. Teachers equipped with required skills as lifeline for sustaining this program. In Abuja, Chimdima Ndubisi, NTA News.
The ongoing 65th Annual Delegates Meeting and General Conference of the Nigerian Medical Association holding in Katsina is drawing attention to the adequate well-being of the healthcare providers as being paramount to effective and efficient healthcare service delivery in Nigeria. Suleiman Kodiji tells us more.
The annual Delegates Conference brings together leaders of the association from across the 36 states of the Federation to brainstorm on the services provided and to proffer solutions. The theme for this year's conference is the universal applicability of care standards for patients and the well-being of healthcare providers.
For everyone, for the Nigerian healthcare systems, to boost it to the world class, not to be the world class. That is the system that we are building.
The governments know the area, where there are lapses, where we are winning, and because it has to do with the health of the people.
I wish the government look into the welfare of the doctors so that they will work happily in their various places of work.
Declaring the conference open, Katsina State Governor Umar Dikko rather urges the Assembly to brainstorm and provide solutions to the challenges bedeviling the health sector in the country.
It's imperative that we work together to create conducive environment for you to thrive in the profession. We are all aware of the current challenges in the health sector in terms of human resources, infrastructure, equipment, which affect the quality of health care.
The leadership of the association reiterates the need for efficient policy framework and funding towards repositioning the healthcare in Nigeria.
For us as NMA, we are poised to bring value addition and give very tenable, very practical way forward for Nigerians as a government and tell them the way we want it to go as a people.
A communique that will change the narrative in the healthcare sector of the country is expected at the end of the annual delegates meeting and general conference. In Katsina, Suleiman Kodogi, NTA News.
We'll take a pause in Abuja to join Adiola Kamiakere in our Lagos studio for more on Network News. Hello, Adiola. In our Lagos studio for more.
Workers in Lagos have come together to celebrate May Day, also known as International Workers' Day, with a theme reclaiming the civic space in the midst of economic hardship. Dejo Keldeka tells us more.
Undeterred by the morning downpour and well represented at the Unicon Stadium in Lagos, workers from diverse sectors and unions. They came out in their numbers for the usual march past and displays that characterize the Workers' Day celebration.
That's the way we do our jobs. We put that strength and energy in our jobs as well.
The NLC BB.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says the day is not for long speeches, rather to celebrate and appreciate workers for their commitment to public service and growth of the private sector.
Said to you that Lagos State will continue to take the lead in the public service of Nigeria. We're happy to come back and report that all throughout the negotiation that led to minimum wage, Lagos kept the promise and were the largest and were the highest paying up until today.
Union leaders used the occasion to table their demands and challenges.
The government should support farmers with modern equipment. And we workers too, we are ready to till the ground. We want the government to allocate land for workers so that our weekends, let us go and start growing rice for Lagos. Thank you very much.
For over 5 hours, various workers in Lagos have gathered in this very arena. They've danced, they've also had their march past, and also had time to bond with one another. So from me to you, happy International Workers' Day.
International Workers' Day there. Infrastructure development is fundamental to socio-economic development of any nation, and this explains why the present administration is keen on rehabilitating and constructing durable roads that are germane to the nation's economic growth. Minister of Works David Umahi stated this while on a tour to inspect rehabilitation and construction of roads in Lagos State. Larry Belei has details.
At both Ido and Marina bridges, the minister informed the contractors rehabilitating the bridges to come up with a method statement on days the bridges will be closed to the populace for Lagos residents to receive adequate information on alternative routes at least 7 days before work commences. On the Independence Bridge, you remember that the minister says that he will come back after 3 weeks of rehabilitation works to know if there will be more work to be done on the bridge, and discover that the work they've done then is still okay and perfect, so no more rehabilitation work on Independence Bridge.
I want to declare that the work we did through the special grace of God and God's wisdom is now declared to be a permanent work. No more any other kind of work on this particular spot. However, the boat carriageway will have to be resurfaced.
So the minister is right here at the Lagos-Calabar road, and the main thing is that the 20 kilometers of this road is built to be inaugurated on May 29th by the president this year, and the minister is here to check on the level of work done, because the target must be met.
Let me state that this project is over 70% done, and so the contractor has not gotten funds up to 70%, and that's why I call them people that have set their mind towards nation building than making money. So we are very, very happy.
David Umahi used the opportunity to visit the frontier of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway construction. In Lagos, Larry Belei, NTA News.
And that's it from Lagos. The network news will continue after this break.
Thank you for joining us. Now, President Bola Tinubu says the critical role of inter-religious harmony and mutual trust in driving Nigeria's national development cannot be overemphasized. The #1 citizen of Nigeria stated this at the first 2025 triennial meeting of the Nigerian Inter-Religious Council held in Owerri. The Imo State capital, Kingsley Onaniwo, has the details.
Religious and political leaders from across Nigeria converged on the Imo State capital, Owerri, for the first 2025 triennial meeting of the Nigerian Inter-Religious Council. President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, described the theme of the epoch-making event, building mutual trust for national unity, as timely and essential, especially as the country confronts deepening social and security challenges.
Work hand in hand with Nigeria and all stakeholders to build platforms for dialogue, enhance interfaith collaboration, and institutionalize this building.
We must love one another, because we cannot destroy whom you love. You cannot really love God, who you have not seen, if you cannot love your fellow human being.
The foundation of any society is justice. So that's why we must always try to be the best we can be to our brothers, our neighbors, at all times.
It is important to note that without mutual trust, unity becomes an illusion. Mutual trust is the soil from which true peace, security, and national development must grow.
Witnessed at the gathering was the formal inauguration of the Southeast chapter of the Inter-Religious Council, which is a strategic move towards deepening religion tolerance.
Well, it's now time to bring in Benny for our business news. And Benny, how is it in the markets?
Thank you, Jumai. The markets are smiling as the Securities and Exchange Commission says there is no existing business that can guarantee 100% return on investment in 40 days. And if you must invest, make sure to verify with the regulator, the SEC. This is in continuation of enlightenment campaigns across the country, from the streets of Wuse Market to the famous Garki Ultramodern Market. The message is same: say no to Ponzi schemes. Scams also wear suits. And if it too sweet, if it be Ponzi. All are the catchphrases to warn prospective investors.
We'll do this continuously all over Nigeria to make sure that Nigerians are well informed, properly informed, to safeguard themselves against Ponzi scheme. Our advice to them is that the time is up. It's either you stop or you go to jail. We'll come after you wherever you are. The law has given us the powers to do so, and we will use the law to pursue you to wherever you are.
Well, we've had it all. Now moving to the global scene, the United States President Donald Trump says he is not responsible for the first quarter shrinking of the U.S. economy for the first time in 3 years, but promises better days ahead. This is coming at a time the fallout from Trump's trade war shakes corporate world, as some major companies said job cuts were underway to lower costs, just as about 40 firms worldwide are already cutting costs, citing biggest losses in the century. Tech giants have suffered a hit of about $114 million across April and May. The sweeping tariffs in early April also unleashed a wave of selling across stocks worldwide and prompted investors to reduce their confidence in the normally safe haven, the US dollar. Well, the world is watching to see how much of interest rate cuts will be decided by the Fed in a few days.
It feels like, unfortunately for the interest rate market, that inflation is probably going to trump employment. So it's a more worrying inflation picture and less of a growth problem at the moment. And so I think it's unlikely that the Fed cuts rates at the next meeting, but we'll be looking to June to see whether some of that demand destruction comes through, pulls down growth. And
well, that is it. And business. Jumai, you can take it from here.
Thank you, Benny. Now, President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Wema Bank, Nigeria's oldest serving indigenous bank, on its 80th anniversary today. The president commends the bank for its unwavering resilience and technological innovations, which he says has set it apart among Nigerian banks. Wema Bank commenced operation on May 2nd, 1945 as Agbo Magwe Bank in Iperu, Remo, Ogun State. It metamorphosed into Wema Bank in 1969. In 2015, it upgraded its regional status to become a national bank, and today it is one of the key national banking institutions in the country. President Tinubu commends the bank's leadership for staying the course and steering the ship in the right direction. We'll take another break. We'll be right back. Thanks for joining us. There's so much happening in the world of sports, and Francisca Bella is here to give us updates. Hello, Francisca.
Hello, Jumai. Welcome to Sports Update. Nigeria's Flying Eagles kicked off their Group B campaign at the 2025 Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations with an impressive 1-0 victory over Tunisia on Thursday in Cairo. Alwal Ibrahim was the standout player for the Flying Eagles, scoring in the first half to secure all 3 points for the team. Next, Nigeria will face Morocco on Sunday at the same June 30 stadium in Cairo, where Morocco won a thrilling 3-2 match against Kenya. From Nigeria, in the ongoing first leg of the Europa League semi-final, Manchester United lead Athletic Club 3-0 courtesy of goals from Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes after Daniel Vivian's red card. With the advantage against a depleted side, Nigeria is in a strong position to advance to the Europa League final, which will also take place at the same stadium. Meanwhile, Tottenham Hotspur currently holds a 3-goal lead over Bodo Glimt in the other semi-final match. To tennis, Coco Gauff showcased an impressive performance, overwhelming defending champion Iga Swiatek with a score of 6-1, 6-1 to reach the Madrid Open final on Thursday. Although Gauff and Swiatek have met 14 times, with Swiatek leading the head-to-head 11-3. The American had never before defeated the Polish player on clay. Well, that's the size of our package. It's back to Jumai.
Thank you so much, Francisca, and congratulations to Coco. And now to the result of our online poll for tonight. Nigerians have spoken, and clearly Fair pay tops urgent demands in our nationwide survey. A quick breakdown shows that 68.7% picking living wage reform. This is a resounding majority demanding immediate action on salaries that match today's reality, calling it the cornerstone of dignity and productivity. Another 19.8% ticked healthcare and safety nets, showing that workers also prioritize physical well-being, universal healthcare and safer workplaces to combat rising risks and possible burnout. Skills, training and tech empowerment polled 11.5% tonight, indicating that while vital for long-term growth, upskilling still trails behind urgent survival needs. And that's it on NTA Network News tonight. Thanks so much for your time. I am Juma Yusuf. Good night.